everyone, thank you for tuning in to AGrader. Here's what to expect. Today we have with us an experienced science curriculum writer, Miss Jody, who will share with us what a primary 6 student should be preparing for their PSLE examination. So Jody, what are they learning this month?
So for P6, the schools would be doing revision and they should be starting their PSLE written paper in this month. So in continuation from the previous video, we will be sharing with you tips for tackling structured questions. So to answer process skill question, students must first identify key words in the question. So when they encounter what question, they are often questions that test students on identifying the correct facts. So the words that identify these questions should be, firstly, list. Alright, this question requires you to name the fact or identify the object, and as long as students provide the correct fact, they will be able to obtain their marks. And second part of list is when they are asked to name an example. Okay, when they are asked to name an example in the question, students have to be specific and not a general group. For example, some students tend to write fish. Okay, but fish is wrong. Okay, instead students have to mention whether the organism could be goldfish or guppy or any specific type of fish. The second type would be describe. These questions will require students to provide details about an object or a scenario. So students should describe what they can see and understand in the question provided. So when questions asking for observation, they have to use describe what can be either seen, heard, smell, taste, or felt. It can be one or a combination of the above senses. So when answering questions on characteristics based on flowchart, keywords are already given in the flowchart, so they just have to pick the answers out from there. And the third type would be classify similarities and differences. This question will require students to classify by providing headings or to describe similarities and differences between two objects. So they must remember, if they are describing similarity, they have to use the word both. While when describing questions on differences, they have to use the connector but or then in the middle of their sentence. Okay, so for this kind of question, the keywords are already given in the flowchart. So be specific. They have to name the objects instead of writing one is these characteristics, the other one is this characteristics. And also, they should not end a difference question with the phrase does not. For example, organism W has wings, but organism Y does not. That is actually, the students will actually not be awarded any marks because students have to complete the sentence that organism Y does not have wings. And the next one will be control setup types of questions. These questions will require students to describe the control setup or even the purpose of the control setup. Always, students have to remember, when question asks for function of the control setup, their answer must have three parts. Firstly, the control setup acts as a comparison. Secondly, to ensure that the results, which is the measured variable, is caused by the change variable and not by other factors. So in this case, in this question will be, it acts as a comparison to ensure that different rate in the plant's growth, which is the measured variable, is caused by the color of the light, which is a change variable, and not by other factors. Okay, another type will be a why question, and this question will test students on analyzing and explaining using scientific concepts. And the following keywords will be found in the questions. Firstly, will be explaining without results given in the question. So these questions require students, to answer using two parts. Okay, for example, why can't you see in a dark room? First part is there is no light source, which is a description, and second part, which is a science concept, to provide light for us to see. And the second type of explanation question will be when questions provide results in the experiment provided. So these questions require students to compare between 2 to 3 elements. When they are asked to explain their choice, their answer must have 3 parts. For example, why would you choose material A for a container to keep hot food warm? Part 1 is state the results. The temperature of water increased the least when A is burned. And then part 2, interpret the results. What does it show? It shows that it is a porous conductor of heat. And the third part, they have to link it back to the question. Thus, hot food in a container will lose heat slowly to its surroundings. So do take note that for such questions, it is important that students use comparative or superlative depending on the number of variables there. And sometimes questions requires them to not only to explain as shown above, they are supposed to pick or explain why did they choose that particular choice and why they did not choose the others. For example, why would you choose leaf A? Okay, that leaf, they have to answer that leaf A has jagged edges, so it will be placed in group X, but leaf B and C has smooth edges, that's why they didn't choose that particular leaves to be in group X. Okay, another type of question is a how question. These test students on identifying scientific processes, and the keywords in the question will be firstly method. So these questions will require students to describe a process. So when you see the question on how or what happened, students have to answer in detailed steps from the beginning to the end. So this is what, for example, how do leaves receive water for photosynthesis? The beginning is water is taken in by the roots. Next step, transported by the water carrying tubes in the stem, and the end result is it reaches the leaves. Another type of question is when they ask for the aim of the experiment. Students just have to remember two things. They have to identify the changed and measured variable. And to state their aim, they just have to begin their sentence with to find out whether the changed variable affects the measured variable. And the next type will be conclusion. These questions require students to explain the finding of the experiment. There are three ways to answer such question. Okay, firstly, students can draw a relationship. Okay, which is as the change variable increases, okay, the measured variable increases, for example. The second way is to state a science concept. For example, germinating seeds undergo respiration and give out carbon dioxide in the process. And thirdly, they can respond to the aim of the experiment. Okay, for example, iodine is able to pass through the freezer bag, but starch is not able to pass through, or whichever is more appropriate. So, the next one will be they can predict, infer, or suggest. Okay, this type of questions will make students have to make an educated guess on what should happen if the experiment has been changed. So students must use or link a scientific concept to this question. And the next one would be relationship. These questions require students to identify the link between these two variables. Okay, for example, they can use the format as one variable increase or decrease, another variable, which is y, increase or decreases. So for example, what is the relationship between heart rate and activity rate? As the activity rate increases, the heart rate will also increase. So students have to remember how to identify such question types and use the correct techniques when answering structured questions to do well in their PSLE.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
To watch more of such videos and information to help your child improve and learn ahead of others in school,
visit our website www.agrader.sg, click on this button, fill in your email address, and receive all these useful videos straight in your inbox for free.
as well as the latest in promotions so that you don't lose out on great deals with AGrader Learning Center.